Just weeks ago, the K-pop world welcomed back one of its icons from the military service, Taemin, known for his stage persona, powerful entry choreography, and androgynous looks. Taemin has been working since 2008 with the legendary SM entertainment group, SHINee. Many have seen him lead the pack as an ambitious soloist and two-time group member. His performances over the years have hailed him a dark K-pop prince and arguably the best solo live male performer. But there's also a notable influence that if you look just a little closer into his poses, performance habits, and his iconic silhouette, there's one man that he seems to reference and pay homage to, the king of pop himself. Every great stage artist has a great mentor, even if not directly in contact. And in this video, let's take a look at the career of Taemin and how his work as a soloist and group member has earned him his status among the industry. And the question is Taemin Michael Jackson's last great protege, or Korea's Michael Jackson adjacent? We'll be discussing it through visual presentation, performance style, group experience, and musicality. But before we begin with Taemin, let's take a look at the year he came into the world. 1993. 1993 was the year the king of pop himself made his mark as a Super Bowl halftime show headliner. He performed with this raw charisma, stage command, and energy. This is the performance of one of the most iconic performers of all time, with a stage show that began with just a full minute of MJ staring down the crowd and not moving just to build audience intensity. This is the power of one of the world's greatest performers and one of its most influential entertainers. Just a month later, he was awarded the Grammy Living Legend Award, which aptly mentioned his contributions to the music video format and pop music field. And 5 months later, on July 18, 1993, Taemin is born into Seoul. Growing up, he would find an interest in dance that folded into a passion, and at age 12, he would be casted for an open audition casting with pioneering music label SM Entertainment. The artist would train in a similar Motown Records artist development system of singing and dancing, with the heightened added training combined with language skills. The company would go into laying the groundwork for Taemin and upcoming members Minho, Donghyun, Ki, and Onu to form a stylish group named SHINee, also known as the one who receives light. SHINee would then span the 2010s, becoming a landmark group in K-pop with their style and sound, jumping from genres like dance pop, R&B, EDM, and funk. Their fashion ever shifting from relaxed boy next door, uniform militia inspired suits, some of everything in between. However, after wrapping up SHINee's third world tour in June 2014, the youngest of the group and main dancer Taemin had made haste with his last minute preparations for a solo debut. 2 months later, a concurrent solo career would begin taking shape. Fashion and K-pop music are inseparable. Those that comprehend the power of imagery know the effects of it and strive for impactful presentation. For Michael Jackson, it was natural to create synergy in the audio-visual space. It's why music films like Thriller, Ghosts, and Bad work so well. Michael during the Thriller era was keen on Halloween imagery and pushing the boundaries of the video experience. Despite the fact he wasn't the exact genesis of the K-pop industry, his interest in the music video art form through exploration of the unknown to bring back motion picture shorts, end quote, led to the audio-visual experiences of today. And that includes the full 8 counts combined with the lively style choices. Yet Michael the performer knew it took raw charisma, expression, and dedication to bring it all to life, as Taemin would soon find out with his solo debut. Released in August 2014, the Danger music video showed Taemin, who was notably bashful in real life, transformed into a charismatic star. His glare into the camera lens, strutting around in that sequin suit, charming shoulder bounce aligned with the drum hits seemed to show a musicianship aspect not seen before. The usage of a sequin jacket, lace brim top hat, piercings seemed to play on the androgynous styling. And after the promotions were wrapped up, he continued activities with SHINee for Japan's comebacks until making his first comeback and debut album, Press It. During the Press It era, Taemin began to stress his duality more than his debut mini-album. The elements of a darker, sensual, and seducing desire contrast with the softened and plausibly innocent, more aligned with the boy next door image Taemin had. What seemed to reflect this dichotomy was the more infamous lip-locking promo photo of Taemin's debut album. Being that Korea still harbors core conservative ideas, This photo seemed completely out of place. K-pop is built on image as much as the music, and to be frank, when Michael Jackson was in his prime, he was the leading visual storyteller of the MTV era before the 21st century. Admittedly, as of 2023, it can be argued K-pop videos down to its short film storyteller groups like ATEEZ, G-Idol, TXT, and the Seraphim of fourth generation of K-pop. It's the most ambitious videos of the global music market industry. The editing, the graphic design, and costuming are amped to 100 times normal effort. And with Taemin, his own videography is as a soloist just as strong, with a hint of darkness and grandeur that saturates. Even in a high definition world of K-pop, he's carved out a visual niche over the last decade. Take for instance the videos Criminal, Idea, and Move. There is an explorative motif in the darkness of Taemin contrast with the light, a desire to display the ego that contrasts with his persona offstage, hence giving him the name the Dark Prince of K-pop. When commenting on the Criminal music video, Taemin speaks of making changes to scenes on set and tweaks made on post-production, thoroughly speaking of the concept of duality between evil Taemin and good Taemin, which further telling of his direct influence on the video he's making and the involvement from the editing process to the actual set, which he makes notes on. What's interesting is Taemin's previous mention of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal music video throughout his career, stating it's sort of the start of the fascination with Michael, and this same video is likely the birthplace for many Taemin mannerisms you see across his videography. He's usually taken advantage of his sensual dark persona to aid in the storytelling. With Idea, Taemin reinforces the dichotomy of the dark and light in both fashion and the sets. While in one scene he's depicted in a white knit sweater within a futuristic and polished club, and the next he's in a dark forest wearing a black embellished feather suit. Another scene he is what is posed as heaven in the sky with his baby blue soft silk suit, and the next he's in what appears as hell burning while wearing a black suit and a tattered skirt with pants, making it clear he's exploring himself visually in every aspect. Visually, Taemin is involved as a storyteller of introspection, and not unlike his idol who used to do the same things using his own elements to explore the visual medium. A music critic from the Korean publication IZM stated in a rough Korean to English translation, quote, "Like Michael Jackson, it is a common goal of solo dance singers who have talent for performance. Taemin has also homaged Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's performance, which captivated the audience with his single hand gestures, is combined with SHINee's Sherlock to move it to a cartoon character called the Thief. The flat-looking face is decadent and robotic, and the slender limbs lead to the light movement of the cape flapping." End quote. Choreographer Ian Eastwood, who at the time was featured in America's Dance Crew, remarked Taemin's ability to pay homage to the King of Pop in his unique, natural movement that reflected his style during the Danger music video. While Michael Jackson's choreography was the result of hundreds of hours of practice for various shows and stages, it is remarkable to know his natural knack for dance as a child was noted but never technically calibrated. In other words, Michael the dancer was never formally trained, which is fascinating to see how much innovation came out of his work. The balanced yet fast-paced footwork, the spins, the creation of the robot dance, the enhancement of the iconic moonwalk, etc. were all results of raw talent being cultivated at his own pace. This was an organic style built off inspiration from artists like Sammy Davis Jr. and Michael's ultimate idol, the godfather of soul, James Brown. They say some people are just born to do what they do, and Taemin follows in this field with a performance background of his own. Taemin's dance background is boasted by SM Entertainment, who have trained some of the strongest vocals and dancers with their teachers from the Korean music industry, alongside coming out of a performing arts high school called Harim Arts Multi-Art School, who are known to have extensive popular idol alumni on their list. From my own perspective, Michael was a dominant, charismatic performer, although on camera and interviews, his persona was plausibly innocent and childlike. His voice was soft, light, and slightly weighted, yet on stage he growled, yelled, and that speaking voice of his was pushed forward, combined with body language and mannerisms that were as if he was letting a firecracker come loose. Michael had been described as a crash, burn, and break type of performer versus the flashy athletics. His allure came in the explosiveness and energetic nature surrounding his showmanship. What Taemin learned from Michael Jackson is based in pacing and presentation. Taemin takes on the showmanship and theatric nature of Michael. However, he doesn't put on a Michael Jackson cosplay, goes on the stage, and leaves. Instead, he combines his influence with contemporary and hip-hop flourishes that are weaved through his seductive aura, pacing his every mannerism in order to entice the viewer. YouTuber Everglowup aptly translates the performative nature of Taemin.
So Taemin is a dominant and sensual performer, but he is also a feminine performer despite being a male idol. And having these combinations should make it difficult for him, yet it doesn't. For some reason, he is just perfect. I don't think there's any idol, second, third, or fourth generation that comes nearly as close to his preciseness when it comes to performing. His superpower is in his mannerisms and his body language. Even though he's a strong and intense dancer, I think one thing about him is that toning it down is not difficult for him. My sister describes Taemin, and I've said this before, as a man who gets possessed by the music, and then the music uses his body as a vessel to express what it is trying to say to the audience. And I think that's what makes him so top tier, because he truly knows how to use the music and the vibe of the music to his advantage to make you feel what he is performing. Taemin is so great at that, there's no idol that comes to his level.
Taemin is keenly aware of himself during each type of performance, whether he's a group or solo member, and being able to let go of the reins to the spotlight and maintain consistency, and then having to be in full center in the same instances on stage. This is the mark of a great entertainer that knows adaptability. SHINee and the Jackson 5 share very little cultural similarities and musical similarities at their core, especially coming out of a different time period and perspective. The Jackson 5 had hits into the late and mid-60s during the Civil Rights Movement, capturing the attention of the US, yet by the US standards they were considered a boy band. They still performed pop tunes written and composed from Motown Records, while SM's debut of SHINee was during the rise of pop maximalism. In Korea, there were trends that bled over from the pop music industry from the West. SHINee mostly took what was given to them from SM Entertainment. The group had charted hits every comeback, and unlike in Western pop music, there are positions and roles to be played in a group. Taemin is the group's main dancer and sub-vocalist. The same goes for his work with Super M. Michael Jackson had a different approach to being a singer in the Jackson 5, as he was the main vocalist by K-pop standards and was the face of the group. And the overlap exists in singing pop music, wearing fashion that were of the time, and dancing in their shows. Yet their experiences can be more different. Taemin learned to be a member of a group twice in his career while holding down a solo career. The same cannot be said for younger Michael, who was forced to carry a large portion of the blame for the group in many regards. Taemin's debut, Danger, peeks into the nature of Taemin the music artist. The song itself is about being a suave guy that can seduce a potential date, and the song's catchy rhythmic drum hits, seductive bass lick, and synths make the song a standout. What takes precedence is the vocal arrangement and melody that echoes Michael Jackson's style. The ad-lib mimicking the percussion callback to his signature hits Remember the Time. The sentiments foreshadow the style of Taemin to come with a homage to the icon that passed only a year after his debut and 5 years prior to his solo debut. But in his music, some argue he lacked creativity as an artist in his selections and vocal styling. Albeit, with his early time with SHINee and even today, one could make the argument that compared to his idol, Taemin isn't as strong an artist in the studio as on stage. After 15 years in the industry, Taemin has shown clear understanding of presenting himself in his music. This has manifested in his more up-close work as a songwriter. Taemin has 9 credits as a songwriter/composer under the Korean Copyright Music Association. While Michael has written hundreds of songs, this is a hint as to the differential factor regarding their type of artistry. While Michael was a part of the Jackson 5, he was pushing for more creative freedom as a musician, and by the time he was Taemin's age of 29 during the beginning of the Bad era, he had become a creative force in the music industry to the point where even his demos seemed polished. Whereas Taemin, he's presented himself as a vessel for the music and muse for creativity in the studio. Make no mistake that when you hear a Taemin record, he's poured life into every phrase and even dissected and rearranged phrases to fit song concepts. So take for example a song that Taemin co-composed and co-written, Heaven from Never Gonna Dance Again Part 2. Heaven is a dark atmospheric pop song with a haunting element. Combined with emotive vocals and his showing of vocal agility. It takes the time to place Taemin in the position of performer/composer, to which he succeeds. Yet take a song like Criminal from the exact same album. Here Taemin is being used as a muse to writers. Aside from swapping out the haunting choir and guitar strums of Heaven for a fully realized synthwave experience, Taemin is still playing the role of a sensual tempter, although here he seems fully immersed in the concept of being a muse. The same can be said for Taemin's iconic song Move, produced by ADN, who mentioned his own excitement for Taemin's recording of the track, how he was able to make it his own and make it trend through his enticing performance both vocally and the popular dance. Just by listening to Taemin's delivery of the song, you can hear echoes of the King of Pop through his breathy forward phrasing and diction. Whereas Michael had a difficult task being the muse during his Invincible era, which is the era he truly let go of dominant artistic control in every song lyric. As YouTuber XLNS Music put it, Michael went through the phases of creation and creative expression. Simply, Taemin is an artist, yet arguably with his time with SHINee and later alongside Super M, he spent much of his time being a creative medium, which allows for some of the best songwriting and production ideas to flourish through him. Selective few under the label like Boa Kwan have reached a point where they can lead an entire project musically from the writing to co-producing. However, this doesn't disqualify Taemin's artistic merits, as he is ever present in the studio during the recording process regardless of if he wrote it or not. This gives weight to what type of artist Taemin is more comfortable being. It's clear that comparisons are always going to be made in the music industry, and in K-pop, international fans and even non-K-pop fans have come up with common descriptors. Korean female singers Ailee and Hyodin from Sistar are remarked as the quote Korean Beyonce. Rapper Tablo from Epica has been described on occasion as the Korean Eminem. 21CL has been quoted as the Korean Nicki Minaj or Iggy Azalea. And despite being the latter senior in the industry and the former being only 3 months ahead in the music debut that they made, their comparisons are to familiarize everyone else, yet it can also both complement and yet easily demean their stature. No one wants to be deemed an ethnic spin-off of an artist as their highest aspiration. So where does this leave Taemin? The heir apparent or the copycat? To me, Taemin is neither the copycat nor is he the heir apparent. He's actually done what most artists in the business do in order to make themselves actually distinctive. They build off of and create new pages and chapters in the book instead of copying word for word. And artists like Beyonce, Usher, and Britney Spears and The Weeknd have built off the foundations to build a different pathway for themselves. And Taemin has no doubt been influenced and impacted by the King of Pop, but so many others have done before him. But what distinguishes him from the others like Usher, Chris Brown, and Jason Derulo, and more who have learned from Michael, is that Taemin drew a clearer essence to his work and closer essence to his work than the aforementioned, yet with his exploration of dichotomy and subtle seduction, and even stepping into an androgynous space with his imagery than Michael and his offspring. When you push the boundaries and take the essence of the influences to new heights, that is the mark of a true one-of-a-kind talent that stands the test of time, whether you're a stage performer or not.